Everybody. Wanted to make another quick video. Um, I'm actually, so part of the motivation for me to be making videos right now, try to get in the center of the thing here, is I'm quite close to 500 subscribers, which is the first milestone towards making the YouTube channel profitable, which is pretty exciting. Um, Obviously, I have a full-time job, so it's not like this is is it recording? Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. Feliz Ano Novo. Um, 2024. Em português, eu praticar minha português. Minha família é brasileira. Minha esposa. Practicing my Portuguese because my family is Brazilian. My wife is Brazilian. It's now Monday, January 1st, first day of 2024, and we just had our daughter, Sophia Rose, was born on the 15th at, now I forget, I think I want to say 1:55 p.m., 7 pounds, 7 ounces. She's healthy, thank God, and everything's going good, but I'm kind of going stir crazy because I am waiting to start a new job, and the gym's closed today. So just kind of looking about how to be productive, and I figured Sage is here giving me a hard time, looking about how to keep the ball rolling. So figured I'd make a video and share my thoughts. Looking at my algorithm, and everybody's is different, I get that, but mine shows me what's going on with the political landscape and the media landscape. And it seems to me that there's an interesting concept. Like, you know me, if you've watched my channel, I'm not one to oversimplify topics. I think that's disingenuous. It's easy. It's a backdoor to any real argument. It's stupid to make straw men and then attack them, right? If we're going to talk about anything, I'm interested in getting down to the quick, like really investigating the issue at hand, in all of its nuance and depth. Come here, Sage. You want to come say hi to everybody? Come here. Come here. It's okay. Sage wants to come say hi, so she can say hi. Okay. So what was the thought? Come here. It's okay. Sit down. So this is Sage, you girl. Her full name is Sage Rose Wildbrush, and she is a border collie. And do not ever get a border collie if you live in an apartment. It's a terrible idea. They are extremely capable animals. They are athletes. They want a job. If we had a flock of sheep, I think they're flock of sheep, head of sheep, I don't know what a group of sheep is called. She would be the best working animal. She's extremely capable, but she's also very high anxiety. As another aside, my psoriasis is being well kept under control from clobetasol that we get from Brazil. So that's cool, because to get it in the United States is like hundreds of dollars, and takes a prescription, and to get it in Brazil is $5 over the counter. So, an anecdotal, tangential condemnation of the United States healthcare system, just in case you needed one. But to get back to the thought, if we're going to start talking politics, it's so disingenuous to be like the MAGA agenda and the woke left. It's like, if we're just going to be obtuse, then we're just part of the problem, right? So I was listening to Thomas Sowell, who's a very interesting academic, among other content that I've consumed, and the idea that comes to the forefront that's fascinating to me, and I think it's something that can be applied to a lot of different social issues and problems of the day, is the idea of the constrained versus the unconstrained vision. It's the idea of utopian thinking versus pragmatic thinking. It's the idea of, and these are all, of course, different ways of framing the same idea. Realism versus magical thinking. It's the idealist versus the realist. Okay, go Stages. So what do I mean? I mean that uh, tyrants throughout history have always and always do um, promise utopia, right? Join our workers' revolution, and we're going to bring about the utopia. Join our brave new world, and all of your problems will be ameliorated. Just give us more power, and we'll stick it to the to the bad guys, right? It's easy and it's oversimplified to see the world in a oppressor oppressed binary. That's Marxism, right? That's communism. And outside of the CCP, and arguably for the Uyghurs and others that are victimized by the CCP, communist hasn't worked out through history. I know that it's ever more seemingly in vogue to espouse communism amongst the if you can call them academics right now, because the Ivy League is fairly uh, disgraced and humiliated right now, given their stances on social issues. If you haven't been paying attention to that, you can look into it yourself. And why is it so attractive to young, idealistic, naive kids? And it's not a knock. We've all been there on these individuals to believe in a utopia because they haven't lived, right? They haven't worked a job for 10 years. They haven't held relationships and had children. They haven't moved and had to pay bills. They haven't had to deal with the reality of reciprocal relationships in the real world. They've only ever been insulated from true experience through synthetic experience, right? The classroom, the dorm room, the cafeteria, right? These are synthetic experiences. They're not, farming. They're not working in a factory. They're not, waking up day in, day out with a spouse, and understanding what it is to maintain positivity, through the ups and downs of life. So what's my point? My point is there are companies that run the world: State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. They have more assets under management than any other companies in the world. We're talking about tens, if not hundreds of trillions of dollars assets under management. So it's no stretch of the imagination to say something as inflammatory as these companies run the world. They're the majority stakeholders in every major company, basically. They seem to, these companies, State Street, BlackRock, Vanguard, have a vested interest in pushing the unconstrained vision. And what is the unconstrained vision? The unconstrained vision is heaven on earth, diversity, inclusion, equity, um, equality of outcome. Everybody will be rich and famous. Everybody will be sports stars. Everybody will have all the success that they deserve, right? It's a real attractive vision. It's just psychotic. It's not based in reality. Reality dictates that effort, uh, you know, moves a person to one's outcome. Your attitude determines your altitude, right? Specifically in aviation, that's a fact. But the reality is, equality of outcome only comes from taking away individuals' personal choice, right? Because if you have X amount of individuals, uh, given the disparate result of personal choice, they will have different outcomes. But if you have individuals that are deluded or ignorant to reality or otherwise drawn to the unconstrained vision, then they're willing to believe in the possibility and even the moral, rightness of equality of outcome. And anytime equality of outcome has been attempted, it's been mass murder. We're talking about, Maoist China, Pol Pot's Cambodia, Stalin's Russia, Hitler's Germany. Equality of outcome is not something to look forward to. There's a reason why healthy people have heroes. And I mean cognitively healthy, psychologically healthy. I know I'm not going to beat Usain Bolt in a foot race. I know I'm not going to beat Michael Phelps in a swimming race. I I don't want to hamstring those individuals so that I can. It's a it's a sick mind that wants to have power that's not couched in fair accomplishment. It's a healthy mind that understands that the only kind of vision for a future is one that is constrained. Okay, constrained by what? Constrained by reality. We're all different. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and to the degree to which you're religious, we all are endowed with an undying soul and a spark of divinity from the intelligent creator. That is not something to cast aside lightly. That, in and of itself, dictates that all people ought to have their personal choice fiercely protected in terms of their ability to speak their mind, in terms of their ability to choose their path and their future, etc. What I'm seeing in the media, in the Ivy League, in Hollywood, is you have individuals who espouse an unconstrained vision. Um, this idea that the downtrodden, the weak, the historically oppressed, that's one of my favorites. And I mean that sarcastically because that's the most ridiculous way of framing an individual. Because when you talk about a person as a group member, you in doing so take away that person's inherent individuality. It is racist to say, you know, this group of people XYZ. Now you can do statistics and you can do sociology and you can talk about groups of people in the objective sense. We've seen that this group has done this or this group has done that. That's beside the point. What I'm talking about is when we stop seeing individuals as exactly that, individual eyes that have their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own beliefs, their own, idiosyncrasies. Everybody's fiercely individual. That is to say, so interesting. Every one person that you'll meet is fascinating if you're willing to get to know them. To to deny that, to try to lump people into groups is where prejudice comes from. And what's so concerning to anybody watching, at least in my opinion, is that these efforts from, again, these huge investment companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, is that they are doing exactly that. They are disenfranchising the individual by stoking the flames of racism and of group identity prejudice. We neglect each other's individuality at our own peril. We ought to see one another as first name, last name, specific person and judge them accordingly, not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And that is a constrained vision. If we understand that we can't have a utopia, but that we can struggle against the inherent adversity of life, because the reality is one group or the other doesn't have it any easier. You might think, oh, this group hasn't gone through what this other group has, and so this group, has it better. But what you don't realize is people face the world as individuals, unless they're like cult members or are bought into an ideology. And unfortunately, that does happen. People outsource their critical thinking skills to have the protection of a group, and they do so at their own peril. In my opinion, that's some sort of soul death. But we ought not to do that in the bastion of the West, the United States. And I guess what I'm interested in speaking to is there's this push in the United States and kind of the corporate media apparatus. Hey guys, so my daughter just was knocking on the door. We're gonna go take her to the park. We say parquinho. Um, my family's Brazilian, and I'm learning my Portuguese to go do the monkey bars. But that's just a little bit of my thoughts right now. I think it is repugnant to engage in an unconstrained vision, utopian thinking, because it inevitably brings out about hell on earth. To think that we can go against the reality of evil in all of our hearts and the propensity to do evil by oversimplifying the world and thinking that we can engage with individuals as merely members of groups as opposed to sanctified individuals with their own story and their own particular views, beliefs, thoughts, etc. And I think the more that these huge firms with all this money's agenda, ESG, DEI, are being brought into question, and their effect on the universities, the Hollywood apparatus, et cetera, the better. Because a culture is healthy based on the freedoms of the individual, not the equity of the groups in said country. People are not groups, people are people. People are individuals. And that is a constrained by knowledge of history and the structure of reality vision, as opposed to being an unconstrained vision. That is to say, heaven on earth, all people are perfectly equal. There's no difference in anybody. Men can be women, women can be men, LGBTQIA, 2IA plus. It's all nonsense. It's like we're all up against it. If you go into history, any group of people has been tyrannized. It's just nonsense to play the victim. We're all a victim of mortality in the final analysis, and so the only academically consistent way of looking at oneself and one's place in the cosmos is to recognize that life is inherently unknown. The only way to be responsible is to accept one's own ignorance and to accept one's own capability for doing evil out of ignorance or malevolence, and to come to grips with that, and to treat every individual fairly, equally, the golden rule, treat others as one would like to be treated, and to not give in to utopian, unconstrained, groupthink, identitarian, political-minded, narcissistic psychopathy, which is what I see happening in the universities, in Hollywood, on mainstream television, and I think it's time to speak on it. So that's what I'm doing. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go take my daughter to the park. Love you guys. Happy 2024. Bye bye.